Ladies and gentlemen, come gather round, come gather round, come gather around. Today, we're looking at panhard rods.
Oh, the panhard. Isn't she that sexy little French car with a nice rear end?
Sort of. In fact, we're going to use part of that, the panhard rod, from the panhard car on the suspension on this 61 Chevy Apache. Panhard works like this. There's got to be some kind of lateral locating device used with this rear suspension to stop the axle from moving left or right of its own accord. When Chevy put together this truck back in the 60s, it has a fairly short panhard bar. It would attach right about there on the frame, and then there would be like a spigot sticking out of the differential about there. So the panhard was only like 2.5, maybe 3 feet long. The purpose of the panhard bar is to stop the axle from moving left and right. The advantage of it is it's very simple. The disadvantage of it is when it goes over bump and rebound, it lets the axle move left and right, which sounds kind of dumb. This axle is a 9-inch Ford axle, and it doesn't come with the right mount. So I'm going to make my own panhard, but instead of a short one, I'm going to make a panhard that goes from here all the way over to the axle on that side, as long as I can, and I'm going to set the panhard as low as I can comfortably place it. Shut up, furnace. Okay, that didn't work. And here's why. Okay, it could have worked, I just wasn't happy with how it was gonna work. But here's the issue that's going on. The truck has truck arms, like NASCAR suspension. And it's got two arms pivoted up at the front that come off to the back axle back here. And as the truck would go over a bump, those arms would pivot up and pivot down. If you look at it from the side, kind of like this, it pivots here, and as the axle goes up and down, exaggerated, the axle's going to move forward on a bump, back to back for ride height, and then move forward again as you go into rebound. So the whole time that suspension's going up and down, that axle's moving forward and back and forward and back. That's fine, that's what it does. The Panhard rod holds that axle to stop the axle from moving back and forth inside the truck. So I've got trailing arms coming out to here. I need something to stop the axle from moving left and right. That's what this does. Problem, as this arm is moving up, if this arm is going up, this Panhard bar has to move with it. So the arm goes up, this has to move forward, and it has to move backward, which is a problem because this bolt end, this threaded end, the bolt that goes through here is going to pivot like this and pivot like that. And this can follow the truck arm, but this end can't pivot when the axle is doing its thing. So if this is sitting here in the truck, try to get this on the screen here, this end needs to pivot back, it needs to twist with the truck arm. This is going to stay put with the frame. That's binding. You can't make a bar twist. It's going to act like a spring. It's going to resist the twist. So, as pretty as it is, we're going to get rid of the poly and go rod ends. So to deal with this, I ordered a bunch of parts from Summit Racing. So here we are. So these are threaded tube ends. They're going to go in the end of here. I'll cut this off, I'll remove the bushing, and foolishly I used these bushings which use a 1/2-inch bolt, but it turns out the 61 Apache used a 5/8 bolt, so I got some 5/8 bolts. It's a little bit bigger. So I also got some 5/8 rod ends. One is left hand thread, one is right hand thread. So they're both going to thread in or thread out, so I can put them in the bar and then turn the bar one way or the other to get the axle exactly centered in the back of the truck. So you can make these. There's no magic here. There's not a whole lot of magic at all, but I can also buy them and they fit right in and I can weld it and then I'll be done. I have the tap to cut normal threads, but I don't have left-hand thread tap, and the cost of these was about the same as buying a left-hand tap. So if you're only going to make one, buy these. If you're going to make more than one, buy the tap, and then you can make your own, and then it's better. And because I bought these, I'll probably have more to make, and if I had bought the tap, I'll never have to make another one. Now, I learned way back in the day that if you, I think I gambled poorly, if you put the bolt in the nut, when you weld it all together, the nut won't shrink and seize onto here, because when you're welding it and this all heats up, this is going to expand, but because it can't over the bolt, it expands like this way, and then when it shrinks in both directions, so the nut would actually be a little bit looser on the threads. If you don't, if you just weld this on with nothing in it, the nut is going to shrink, and then you'll need one of those left-hand taps to cut the thread again. So I'm going to put these in. I'm also going to coat it with some Never Seize so that it doesn't seize, so that I can undo it again, and theoretically this won't shrink onto here and I'm screwed. These are allegedly Teflon lined, so they should have some nice little squish. I'm going to use some replacement tie rod boots for suspension just to seal these up, so this little rod end is going to last a little bit longer. These bushings can last a long time. They absorb a bit of noise. That's good. These, they last, they're strong, but they will likely transmit some noise to the vehicle, like I'm going to notice in a 61 half-ton pickup. However, these will give me the movement that I need in the Panhard bar with no binding in the rear suspension. I got a couple jam nuts in here. One should be left hand, one should be right hand. With my luck, there won't be. And there's the other joint. And I picked up some bolts, which magically had to be clearanced to fit in here because they weren't quite the right size. But now they are. Hooray. So that's that. So let's cut them up and let's weld it together.